Everyone tells you an open house is how you find buyers. And that's exactly why most agents spend their whole Saturday and Sundays in a stranger's living room and walk out with nothing. An open house isn't a buyer event. It's the cheapest listing appointment you'll ever set. And whether you leave with a seller or leave empty comes down to one question. The one almost every agent asks, and the one you should never say out loud. My name is Coach K. I've been in real estate since 2004, and I've coached agents all across the country. Brand new agents starting from zero, agents with 2 to 3 years under the belt, all the way up to agents that are doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in gross commissioned income. And the pattern I saw open house after open house was the same. A room full of future sellers getting worked like a line of buyers, while the one conversation that could have turned into a listing walked right out the back door. A few months back, I stopped into an open house in my neighborhood. The agent there was great with people. She was warm, welcoming, and made everyone feel at home, but I immediately noticed her repeating a deadly mistake over and over. After introducing herself and welcoming people in, she'd follow up with, "Are you already working with an agent?" And I watched it kill her Saturday in real time. Half the people said yes, they had an agent, and the conversation died right there. The other half she treated like buyers and walked room to room. Then a guy came in, mentioned he lived around the corner, and she smiled, handed him a flyer, and moved on. That guy owned a home 3 doors down and had been thinking about selling for 6 months, and he walked out without her even knowing it. How do I know he was thinking about selling? Because I was out there in the backyard talking with him about it. Here's the mistake, and almost every newer agent makes it. That one question gives you a single yes or no answer, and then you're stuck. Worst of all, it tells a room full of people who mostly already own homes that you see them just as a transaction before you said anything worth remembering. An open house is the one day homeowners walk up and they start a conversation on their own. And with one question, you just talked yourself out of every conversation with them. So here's what to do instead. Every question you ask at an open house should answer 2 to 3 questions you never have to ask. That's the whole game. And it starts the second the door opens. Step 1, the way you greet them. Instead of asking if they're working with an agent, just say, "Hi, welcome in. My name's Coach K. Do you already own a home in the neighborhood? Or are you looking to move into the area?" Say that one out loud a few times because it's doing the work of like 5 questions at one time. Look at the first half of that question. Do you already own a home in the neighborhood? That one line tells you whether they own in this neighborhood, whether they own a home at all, or whether they own somewhere else entirely. You didn't have to ask 3 questions. You asked one and they handed you all 3 answers without feeling like they were being interviewed. The second half, or are you looking to move into the area? That tells you if they're trying to move here, if they already live here, and a lot of the time whether they own here already. Because you and I both know open houses pull in the neighbors, the curious ones who just want to see what the place looks like and what it's listed for so they can measure it against their own home. And that nosy neighbor is not a waste of your time. That neighbor is the whole reason you're standing there. A neighbor sizing up your listing against their own house is a homeowner with 1 foot out the door already thinking about selling, and you just found them for free. Step 2, follow wherever their first answer points. If they own in the neighborhood, just follow up with, "Oh, nice. How long have you been here?" How long tells you their equity, and equity tells you how ready they'd be to move if the timing was right. Then you soften into the real one. When you bought this place, did you see it as your forever home or more of a stepping stone to the forever home? That one question tells you whether this house is the finish line or just a stop along the way. And listen for the money underneath the answer. When someone says, "Well, it wasn't really our forever home, but it's what we could afford," they just handed you their real objection. A financial objection is just one that you can solve to actually help them make their next move. And if they're looking to move into the area, let them talk. As they tell you what they want, they're handing you their price range, their timeline, and whether they've got a home to sell first. A buyer who has to sell before they buy isn't just a buyer. They're a listing wearing a buyer's coat. And step 3, and this is the one that fixes the whole problem. You never ask if they're working with an agent. You let them tell you without the question ever leaving your mouth. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Okay, fair enough. You still need to know if they're already working with an agent. You do, but you find out by listening, not by asking. Because the second you ask it out loud, you've handed them the easiest exit in the room and learn nothing about them. So instead you ask, how's the search been going so far? Or you can say, seen anything else you've liked? And then you listen. Our agent showed us a few yesterday, tells you they're represented. We just started to look around, tells you the door is wide open. Same answer you were chasing, except now you got it without making it awkward and without ending the conversation to get there. Step 4, before anyone walks out, you plant the one seed. For every person who owns a home, you ask, when you decide to make your move on your home, would it be helpful to know what it's worth in today's market? Almost nobody says no to that. Now you've got a reason to set an appointment to see their home, a reason to follow up, and a reason to run the numbers. And most importantly, a reason to be sitting at their kitchen table signing off on a listing agreement down the road. Now, here's what nobody tells you. The agent who asks, are you already working with someone, gets a yes or no in a dead room. The agent who asks the right question gets the same answer plus 4 more they never had to ask for. Every question you ask at an open house should answer 2 to 3 that you didn't have to ask. That's the difference between working an open house and just hosting one. So here's your one move before your next open house. Write your opening line on a note card and say it to the first 10 people through the door. Do you already own a home in the area? Or are you looking to move into this neighborhood? Don't ask a single one of them if they're working with an agent already. Just listen for it. And then for every homeowner you meet, ask them one more thing before they leave. Just ask them, when you decide to make a move on your home, would it be helpful to know what it's worth in advance? Everything we just talked about gets a lot easier when those open house conversations start turning into real seller and buyer leads. And knowing what to do when one of them actually wants to list, that's where most new agents feel like they're on their own. If you're looking for one-on-one coaching and support as you grow your business and you want to know how to access it all for free, I have a link in the description below where we can jump on a call, talk about your business and how you can access our free coaching community. While on that call, you can ask me everything about the training platform to see if it's the right fit for you. And if you're not ready yet, that's okay. Come find me when you are. I've got 2 videos that are gonna pop up on the screen. This one right here breaks down exactly how to introduce yourself as a brand new agent, because the words you lead with at an open house are the same words that decide every first impression you make in the business. Be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm Coach K. I'll see you in the next video.